I'm going to go ahead and call the March meeting of the Energy Committee to order. Um, Relatively light agenda today, so I don't think we'll spend too much time on here today, but we'll take through a couple of things. There are some things we need to talk about, especially with some of the upcoming grants that we have before us. And I wanted to give Amir some time to showcase some of the work he's been doing with a dashboard that he's put together for us. Amy, you're nodding your head, so I'm glad that I don't
Yeah,
know if you did you get a chance to see it?
I did. We chatted earlier, and
Okay,
yeah, I'm excited.
so since you and I have both independently seen it but not seen it together, I guess this is going to
Yep,
be more of a for the public thing than anything. But so be it, I guess. I'm going to go
that's
ahead and skip
okay.
over. I'm going to skip over meeting minutes because I've been bad and I haven't posted our meeting minutes for a while. So I will catch up with those next meeting,
I was gonna say we'll
and
we'll get it.
we'll get it. Yeah.
We'll get it.
So far, the five people on YouTube that watched our video last time are fully informed. So we'll go for there. All right. Let's start off with just a quick discussion on where we're at with some of the work that's going on. Rebecca, I'll probably turn it over a little bit to you as well after the intro. But there has been a lot of work that has taken place on the decarbonization grant, the regional school district decarbonization grant that is underway. Um, just by way of background for the people who may be watching this and haven't been involved for the first time or not involved throughout this, the Berlin Boylston Regional School District is in the process of seeking a $200,000 grant to continue the decarbonization and electrification at Berlin Memorial School. That would be over and above the Green Communities grant that we submitted our application for earlier this year. I have been getting some feedback that we may not have a favorable result on our Green Communities grant. So that may be something that we need to plan for. The final determination on that will be out in the next few weeks. But until then, we should just continue to plan on the option of us coming through with that. The way that the regional school district grant is structured is that it has a 25% contribution requirement. So the community would be asked, if we went for a full $200,000, we would be asked to come up with $50,000. We got some initial support from the select board. I went before them at not the last meeting, but the meeting before, kind of apprised them. At this point, it was just really I guess a motion of approval to continue. There was no funding associated with that at this point because frankly we don't need the funding quite yet. We have to finish the application. We have to go through that. There are two primary options available for us. One is a on-bill repayment option, and the other one is there's potential for repurposing some of the capital that was originally given to the regional school district for the roof replacement. They were able to come in a little bit lower on the initial bid, so they may have some ability to repurpose some of those funds to cover the 50,000 should become necessary. The second phase of this that this grant would be designed to cover is basically a mirror image of what we did on the Green Communities grant. So that is very beneficial to us because if the Green Communities grant were to fall through, we would just flip over and the scope would be no different, and it would be pretty much a drop and replace sort of thing. One of the discussion items that we do need to collectively be aware of, however, is that there is another decarbonization grant opportunity that could be made available in the spring. That would be maybe a little later than spring, which would be $500,000. And I had the opportunity to speak with Kelly um, a little bit, and she thought that that was a good fit for our purposes. So if the Communities Grant falls through, if the decarbonization grant falls through, she said that there's an additional opportunity to, with this third round of funding, to potentially go for both. So be able to do the quarter million and the 200,000. We would need to have our ducks pretty well in a row because that would be more than we can typically do without an RFP. I don't. We need to get into that. We need to see the details of the grant. I believe it's outside of the auspices of the Green Community Program. So some of the procurement luxuries that we have by being a participant in that program wouldn't necessarily apply in this case. So more to come. Just keep that on your radar that that could be coming up, and Weston and Sampson can help us through some of that. We would lean pretty heavily on their expertise, I suspect. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So the green community waiting game. I'm sorry about the background light here. I'm starting my seeds for the year, so I'll shut those off in a second. Those That's what's before us right now. We will have clarity on the green community grant here very soon, probably within a week. We will have a pretty good idea of whether we are going to successfully be able to apply for this regional school district decarbonization grant within days. And then there will be clarity on this new round of grant funding later in the spring, early summer. And just for the record, the reason why we didn't go for this regional school district grant before is it didn't seem like it was a good fit for us. It had a prerequisite for being basically like a social justice or economically disadvantaged communities had preference on the grant. The second thing that it had going for it is that it gave preference to communities who were not great communities. So we didn't qualify in either of those, and the timing was short. We had already missed the statement of intent letter. They extended that, indicated to us, hey, maybe you should go for it. So we did. That's the short answer. We went for it, and we shall see how the chips fall when the time comes. So with that, I'll stop. Amy, any questions or anything that you want to report to the group?
I don't think so. I don't think I have anything new and
Tim,
exciting.
Tim,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Amy, I might jump in. Can you hear me okay? I think my
Yes, please.
headset wasn't
Yep.
working earlier. Sorry about that. So I'm not sure if you saw the email from Billy earlier today, at about 1 o'clock. So he was speaking with the DOER, and we're notified that for the grant, since you're looking to displace the wood pellet boiler, this is actually considered a biofuel and not a fossil fuel. So they are saying that it's not eligible for the decarbonization grant at this time. So I think he kind of outlined that more, and he knows a lot more about that since he spoke with the folks. But he did meet with Zach from Rise along with DOER and discussed the opportunity. So I think, unfortunately, not to be the bearer of bad news, I didn't see Billy's email earlier. That doesn't look like. Ooh, did I cut out?
No, you're still good.
Okay, good.
You're still good.
That doesn't look like it's going to be a go, and he wanted to provide his apologies and sincerest apologies and help say thank you for everyone for the hard work because I know that was a lot of work last week to kind of get all that approvals and everything moving forward for that. So it does sound like maybe in like the next couple of weeks we can hear back from Green Communities and then potentially this third round of funding that you were talking about we can work with DOER. So I know Kelly Brown is he spoke with her and she's really wants to help assist with future grants and really help the town move forward with these projects. So hopefully maybe that's a great source of funding that we can look into for the third round. But
Okay.
Billy can certainly have more information on kind of what that conversation was earlier today.
Well, that's disappointing.
Hmm.
That darn, I call it a pellet stove. They hate it when I call it a pellet stove, and that's part of the reason why I call it a pellet stove, because it gets Kelly's goat a little bit. But it's been a it doesn't work that well, frankly, and it's knocked us out a couple times now because it's what we've done over there is kind of a hybrid solution, and we're continuing with a hybrid solution, and it doesn't fit cleanly into anything. It's because
Hmm.
we're partially displacing fossil fuels, we're partially displacing biomass fuels, and it's just kind of like doesn't match perfectly. And for those who the five people who may watch this later, I am mocking a little bit of felt. So this is a very large biomass boiler system. It has a whole silo full of of I guess pellets or wood pellets. So it's by no means. I don't mean to trivialize it. It is a pretty significant thing, and the town of Berlin did actually win a grant several years ago to do this. It was kind of an exploratory grant. And I think DOER learned a lot from the outcome of that. A lot of the communities that have it have found themselves in the similar issues, both with the longevity of those systems. Some of they break down because there's a lot of mechanical pieces to it. There's a lot of going on, and here we are. So okay, that largely changes the calculus. Okay, so that puts that place down. But that means we need to really think about what we can do between now and whenever this additional round of funding comes out to really tidy up our application and to answer some of those questions. Like some of the feedback I got from Kelly in a private conversation was we didn't care for the um, ventilation portion of the application in our green communities. That
Hmm.
kind of worked against us a little bit. So I think that's something we need to do better. We didn't account for the biomass boiler as well as they would have liked, of how that's going to go in there. So that would be something that we would need to firm up. We would need to have probably a little more detail on the phases and how we intend to string this all together. So it's an opportunity for us, right? We can certainly take that time and get better on our application. I think that's probably where we need to force our efforts right now. Should we find ourselves in a situation where the Green Communities grant doesn't come through, that opens up the possibility for us to just pick up a small one and maybe clean up all the lighting at the school, because that was coming from Weston and Sampson, coming from multiple people. This was the number one priority because those incentives are leading. So in a way, it may be a blessing in disguise. It's going to be close with the spring grants and whether those can get awarded fast enough and everything, but that we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I guess is where we come to, where we're at. So I don't know, Rebecca, any words of wisdom for us here from what you?
Yeah, I think we just really need to keep in touch with Kelly Brown and the folks in DOER as well, and just you know make sure that we have a strong enough application, like you said, if Green Communities doesn't, and I think come up with a strategy. So I think unfortunately with the decarbonization grant, but then we'll hear back from Green Communities, and if that doesn't go through, then we look to the next round of funding, or we look for Green Communities potentially in the fall, really to beef up that application. Um, and then, like you said, look at LED lighting. I think that's a good one to maybe try to push forward if there's any, remaining budget or anything incentives we can get for that. That might be a good project for the time being while, we really work on the application and take a look at like, adding ventilation in, like you said, and looking at the emission savings and really beefing up that section too. So I think there's things that, we can work on and make a path forward if this doesn't go through. And, it's unfortunate, but and these little nuances with biofuel versus fossil fuel and it's frustrating. So we'll work with you the best we can to kind of figure out moving forward and how we can get the town some money.
Yep, fair enough. And I think one thing that I wanted to kind of bring up. I just read the email, by the way. Thank you for
Okay.
for letting me know.
I know. Sorry,
Um,
I was going to interrupt you, but I didn't want to
no, no,
interrupt. But I
no.
was like, oh no,
I
he's
had my
doing
whole
it.
thing going there, right? Yeah. Um, the technical assistance grant. One of the things that we had spoken about with
Hmm.
does he prefer William or Billy? I heard you
Bill,
using Billy.
yeah, he usually goes by Billy,
Okay, all right.
but you can call him William too.
I didn't know if I knew him well enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so talking to Billy about this, and actually on the same meeting when we were talking about the decarbonization, the school expressed a lot of interest about potentially looking at solar
Yep.
once the new roof is on there. I think that's a good play, getting a technical assistance grant in there, come up with a nice tight um, analysis of whether it's cheaper to own or to do a power purchase agreement. Think through all those things because that is foundational technology. If we are serious about electrification of the building, that comes at a cost. And if we can do production on the roof, which is perfect for it, it's got a like part of the reason why we need air conditioning in the building is because it has a perfect southern exposure. Is maybe on the table, and we had evaluated that multiple times previously as the energy committee, and we just couldn't do it in good conscience without a roof replacement, and that was a gating item, and it looks like that's going to be removed. So maybe that's how we shift our focus and look at that. And I do think we owe some feedback to the state to say, hey, listen, if you're serious about decarbonization and electrification, you need to close some of these donut holes for communities that are trying to get it done, because these grants have not been easy and they've been sparse and they don't cover the whole thing. These are incredibly expensive projects, and we're just trying to plan our day, So
Yeah, yeah. There's still a large match for a small town.
yeah, so there you
But
have it.
the meta grant is a great option. I mean, it's just getting a feasibility study, but we'll look at the school and what you can put there. So typically the meta grant studies the application, I think for those, they're very straightforward. We can help assist with that. And those are due, I believe, in May or June. And they're pretty quick turnaround. They give you some great information on they would provide like a helioscope, a basic cost estimate for that, and can look at potential for battery storage as well too, if that's something the town's looking for. I know that gets trickier because that can really increase the cost when you're looking at batteries, but um, it's just good to look at it in whole, for decarbonization. So that's a
Yeah,
great option too. And Billy has noted that as well. So we're happy to help if you're looking at that. And those are pretty high success rates for getting those grants. So I wouldn't
yeah.
see any issue or I would definitely recommend to go for that one.
Okay. So I think, I mean, without making a decision, I think what I would ask you to kind of carry back to the Weston Sampson team is that our sense right now is the meta grant and our fallback plan would be to get the lighting squared away. So we should probably pivot towards a plan B for spring if something falls through. Which, I mean, based on the feedback we received, she said everything, but it doesn't look good. But there was some gaps in our thing, and she
Mhm.
definitely called us out on it. So we'll leave it at that. So let's see. Um, Amir, I think all of us have maybe seen your dashboard with the possible exception of Peg. Welcome, Peg. I see you lurking. You can't hide. Um,
Mhm.
if you would be so kind as to kind of take us through what we've put together. And since both Amy and I have seen it, and I think Rebecca's probably seen at least some of it or at least been heard about it, try to
Mhm.
pitch your analysis on what could potentially be done with it. Meaning, this is cool technology, but what can we do with it really? So that would be
Yeah,
kind of how I would take it go. Take it
sure.
away.
May I share my screen? Sorry. Oh, I'm gonna share. Okay, so actually, based on the conversation we had earlier with Tim, he mentioned some uh, issues that you had in municipal about maintaining different tools. Like for instance, it may cost more than no repairing, of course, may cost more than maintaining assets. So what I had in my mind, so initial thought was that developing a database that could have all different assets based on their life cycle, and so based on that we could figure out for each each campus building how what and when we should uh, I mean uh, doing maintenance tasks. So here is the dashboard that initially I've developed based on the audits that I received. In total, uh, it includes 30 different buildings and about 600 assets. And as you can see in the main dashboard, shows some initial analysis about total cost. As you can see, heating system and air conditioning includes the highest portion of the total maintaining cost. And however, so we have other analysis that I'm not pretty sure because these are not, reliable data about based on the data set uh, right now I have access to. But I have some thought to develop it in the future to make everything easier for the manager. So, like, let me take you an example. Assume that you are thinking about replacing a specific air conditioning system, which could be more sustainable, and more green compared to the current one you have. So in the long term, as you are collecting data, you can see we can add some other options that can consider the consuming energy. I don't know, like different factors. So and then by considering their cost, we can make decision. Okay, does it worth this trade-off to replace this air conditioning with the one we had before? That's an example in the long term, I mean, we can develop it in a way that in the future make it easier for the manager. But right now, the current dashboard just demonstrate the system situation. So, like it's a ERD for the current data set that we have right now. Just wanted to see what different assets, building, and information we are collecting. And the one of the advantage of using this one is that everything here is saved on an Excel file. Actually, we saved everything on an Excel file as a database because in here in Berlin Municipal, uh, we don't have uh, huge data sets, so we can manage everything on Excel file. And if someone is comfortable using Excel, can switch using Excel. It's just depending on how you feel comfortable. And
Amir?
yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt for a second because I want to spend some time on this page. So this I'm kind of eyeing peg here because I wanted to put some context on what you're seeing here because these are big numbers. This is all from the Bureau Veritas reports, and basically what Amir has done is aggregate all that information, all those reports into a single line item or a single dashboard that you can view that. And we knew this in black and white. You were the one that originally sent these reports to me in the beginning, and you kind of knew even then what was going on. But this has been the collective deferred maintenance catching up to us, and it's going to over time get really pricey if we don't start getting ahead of this soon. Because according to Bureau Veritas, about 2/3 of all of the infrastructure that they surveyed was only in fair condition. About a quarter or so was in poor, meaning needs being to be addressed, and the remainder is in good condition. So we're kind of looking down the barrel of a end of life asset issue, and the goal and what Amir is going for here in the long term is we would like to get all of this into a plan that we can present to capital planning and say, there's no politics here. This is the reality. This is the engineering assessments that we have paid for already that has painted the same picture multiple times. And we're going to need to increase our attention on that, both with assets in the form of cash as well as mind share that we actually need to do this kind of stuff. And the last point before I turn back to, I guess, to you, Peg, for comment would be, we are working with Fred. It's been tough for both of us. He's been out. It's been snowing nonstop for like 3,000 years, and he's been plowing. So, but our goal is to get with him to try to give him a better viewpoint into what his maintenance really looks like, and maybe how he can plan better and to be able to kind of prioritize better. And that's been Amir's focus since he's joined us, and will continue through a lot of his fellowship.
No, and you know what? I appreciate this. And as you know, we're trying to figure out what to do with the buildings in town, which ones truly just need to come down and go away. Hopefully with our new interim TA in place, we will have procurement out the door to get some quotes and get those two ugly buildings down as you head into Clinton. And, there's a couple other ones that, I'm going to call them your three big ones. You've got town offices, you've got town hall, and you've got the library. So, what do we do with them? What can we do with them besides the energy concerns? What else do the buildings need, to have happen to them? The board at one point kind of sort of made a promise that we would put something like this on our agenda all the time to discuss, but unfortunately, well, a few other things have exploded in town. So we've kind of stepped away from it, but we do need to get back into it. We do need to start working a little bit closer with capital planning. We need to look a little bit out into the future, whether it is the special town meeting that we'll probably have again in November, or it's the big one, not this coming May, but next May. And Tim, you hit it pretty much square on the head. The longer we wait, the bigger these bills are going to be. So, what can we do to, realistically get these buildings up to function? Oh, and I forgot the highway barn, the new highway barn. So there's 4 that I think that we definitely need to finish on. Are there things that we could do, caulking around the windows? I don't know, new windows, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. Again, we run into the problem where Fred is looking for a facility guy or facility gal. So if you know someone who can do that, bring them in. But it's, do you take care of the town and plow and sand and do all the other things, or do you have someone try and fix windows and stop leaks, for that? So, I think that we need to definitely bring this up to the, attention of the board and figure out what we can do and start to put a plan in place to truly save some of our buildings.
Yeah, and Amir is using a very modest 3% inflation rate. Now, I know that sounds absurd that I'm saying modest with 3%, but what we've seen over the last couple of years has been more than 3%. And you saw it on the bridge. We have I mean, these Veritas reports are a couple of years old, or well, a
Yes.
year old. So we know that there's been some expansion in costs
Mhm.
since then.
Mhm.
So anyway, it's the purpose behind this is really just to kind of start getting this in a visual format that's
Yep.
more easy to digest than rather scattered across 15 different reports, and to arm Fred with the information he needs to make a compelling case either on the town meeting floor or to the select board, however the case may be, or finance or capital planning, or whoever he has to go to. Because it's going to be an issue. We've been burned before, specifically with the air handler, where we identified that was reaching the end of its engineering lifespan, and then it failed, and then we had an emergency replacement situation, and which cost us more than maybe it could have. And I'm just predicting that that's going to happen more often. It's going to become more frequent, and we're going to be dipping into free cash to take care of emergencies that are preventable.
Right, and the problem with that is that, unfortunately, free cash is not what it was years back. And even though capital planning puts a certain amount aside for stabilization and to put back in the funds, obviously, if you only have $100 of free cash and 30% of that, is not a lot. So Anna, Dr. Crane was with us last night and truly explained that obviously projects are becoming more expensive. So before, where they could do a lot of projects because we had a lot of money, now we can probably only focus on one or two projects because we don't have a lot of money. So in this case, it's probably a game of rock, paper, scissors. Whoever gets to them first and gets in line is probably going to be the one to secure the monies, going forward. So I would definitely keep that in mind, that if you have something, don't wait. And where capital planning doesn't meet all that frequently after budget season ends, it might be worth just a little bug in their ear to say, hey, something's coming. We're going to need to start working with you next year and get in front of it.
Understood. Amir, can you just kind of quickly go over, just like I think you have it up right here. I'm just kind of turning the floor over to you, like
Yeah, yeah.
focusing on the
Thanks for
big rocks.
explaining and correcting me. And actually, here is an example of the output that shows that over each year how the cost could look like. And but right now, as we have data from 2023, we know it could be like that. But assume that, so right now, we haven't updated any maintenance reports from that time. So that's why here we have like about backlog task here. And so, for instance, we can see what what different tasks have been backlogged here. So these are things that needed to be done in the last year. So here are some example of charts right now we have here, and moreover, we have another option for the, take a few minutes. Yeah, for the managerial insight. So for instance, I'm generating some charts here for the manager. So to have insight about different things. So for instance, cost by category, by building. For instance, here, if we want to see for the library, if I find it, let's go with the main municipal office. So it just, this part shows the municipal office maintenance cost for different categories. And here is the Gantt charts. Which tasks need to be done earlier. For instance, in 2026, some tasks have priority to others, and they probably are at the end of their life cycle. And probably if we don't do their maintaining, we are gonna face with some problems in the coming year.
Well,
Yeah, here is
Amir,
sorry.
this is really great information, and the board that you have, we're all very data driven. And something like this may help to make some of the decisions that we're going to have to make. Do we keep a certain building? Do we get rid of a certain building or certain buildings? Because if we can't figure out the use of that building, and I always call them like the giant kitchen drawer, we don't know what to do with it, so we just open the door, throw crap in it, and then close the door and forget that it ever exists. This may help to make some of our decisions to say, insert building name here, who really hasn't had a use in X amount of years here. It's going to cost us $800 bazillion to, get it basically up to code and where it needs to be. Can Berlin support that? Or do you put it on the market and get rid of it and sell it to somebody who can use it? Or do you just, tear it down and shift the money towards a building that we all sit in and use on a daily basis? So this is fabulous information. I appreciate you sharing it.
You're welcome. And that's a really good question. It just gave me some idea how to help you with this data. So these are some initial data about the maintaining. So that's a good question. So for instance, if you had such as those decisions that you want to make it, I can shape this data like to get some output can help you with decision making. And probably in the I'm gonna work on that to see cost for different buildings and how it will be, different comparison that help you to make it easier for decision making. Is it better to keep it or sell it in the market? And such as this example. And I really appreciate if you could share some of those decisions that you want to make it, and it helps me to understand what you need, and based on that, I can develop the dashboard, the different, part of the this software.
Can you pull up your drop down for your campus so I can see all your buildings?
Yeah. Right now, I think we just don't have.
So honestly, Amir, get old fire station and the rescue building. Those are the two that
That's
were
says former.
former rescue squad. That one.
Okay.
Those are the two that we're going to be putting out to bid to come down. So if there's, any room that I can save you not to do any type of analysis with, it's those two. They've been cleaned out. Honestly, I'm hoping for a very good windstorm that will just take them down and we don't have to worry about them. But take those definite two off your list for don't even give it a second thought.
Okay, sure. Yeah, but right now, based on this, it's information. These are the cost, estimating cost over time. However, I guess here I have considered the inflation rate 3%. It can change a little bit, but yeah, these are based on the inflated costs here.
What's
probably-
What's the biggest threat? What's the biggest
facade?
nut that's coming out?
So for these buildings, the
No,
facade
not for
is
these. I mean, just in general. So what I want Peg to take away is clearly we can walk away from these two buildings, but like out of the portfolio, what's the biggest budget buster, so to speak, that she's looking at?
I'm going to guess it's the municipal offices, because think about it. You've got town offices in there. You've got fire. You've got highway. So that would be my big guess. Would be the municipal building.
Because I mean, part of the strategy here, Peg, is that we've been trying to do is we're trying to use the auspices of green community and climate leaders to also upgrade our infrastructure so that the lifespan is extended as well. But we've been having difficulty with that. So at some point we're running as fast as we can over here to get out in front of it. But if things start breaking faster than we can repair them, or replace them, the other thing we're going to need to have in place is a plan for saying when this breaks, can we at least upgrade it to something that serves both purposes? And that's the other thing we're trying to get in front of. That I can easily see, ourselves doing, Weston Sampson helping us with just what's a good choice. If this thing's going to blow up tomorrow, what do we replace it with? Do we repair it? Do we do a like for like swap? What do we do?
Well, Amir, something that you can also potentially look at is impact. If for some reason the town offices something broke, you know, who are you displacing for employees and daily activities? That's where people come to pay their bills. That's where people come to pull permits. You slide over to town hall, and is it disruptive because events can't happen? Yeah, but is it catastrophe like? No. Library's getting a lot of use. They put a lot of programs together for adults and kids. What would be that impact if something major broke at the library? And then probably your next one is going to be the town barn. What can Fred and his crew do or not do if something were to break? So maybe if you could try to somehow put a qualitative data element on this, because you can't really say, 55 people are going to be impacted, but traffic wise, town offices, library, highway barn, and then town hall would probably be my top ones.
And for my current professional work, I'm going to put a plug in for the public safety impact.
Yep.
If I recall correctly, municipal offices is one of the designated shelters in town. I think
That's correct.
Berlin Memorial is the other one. Clearly, municipal offices also would be the headquarters for any disaster response. Police, fire are located there, so there's a public safety need in order to make that building as resilient as possible, because that's where people are going to shelter when stuff hits the fan, and that's where the people who are going to help us are going to be working out when stuff hits the fan. So we got to have that building to be as resilient as possible.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. But actually, for such as those, we need some information, because I have no idea about the scale. So as much as if you can provide me information. However, we had a meeting with Amy, and she's supposed to find some useful information for me to update the whole database. But like, for instance, I need to know, I need to have access to such as those information. Then I can figure out how to develop it. Yeah, like here is a little bit challenging how to find the right data.
So
correct. And yeah, I mean, if you can, think about it, and Tim and Amy as well, and just kind of claw, what would you be looking for that would make this, presentation better, so that when one of you stands up at town meeting and says, we need to, move $300,000 to buy insert item here for insert building here, what is that? What do you need to sell it to the town to get them to approve it? And this is where, that's the hard part, is that this is very numbers driven. It's very clear, but people like touchy-feely, kumbaya, big, huggy, impact, softy-feely things. Things
Tell me how
I
you-
am not.
tell me how you really feel, Peg. So
Because
Amir,
after all, come on, Tim, we got to keep burling. We can't be changing.
So Amir, here's I guess the actionable thing. Work through a shopping list. Knowing what you've discussed with us so far, don't limit to yourself what you think we have. Don't limit yourself. Just say, to get to where I think you want to go, this is the information I need to have. And then Amy and I will go chase it for you. It's pretty much that simple. If we need to reel in Peg, we
Mhm.
will.
Yep.
If we need to go through Fred, we will. Amy's got her hands on a lot of data in the accounting office that is available. I pointed you towards the annual town reports, has a lot of information in there. Harder to mine, but it's at least present. But I'm telling you to just kind of take the gloves off, go where you think you need to go.
Yep.
Set yourself free, and we'll figure it out what we have, what we're missing, and put together a plan to get you what becomes necessary in order to tell this story.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm just trying to do my best to first of all complete this database with all assets or whatever we have and update it, because to update it by 2026. And this is my priority at least so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure. As soon as like if you could also like I'm taking note of such as this question you have, and then I need to think about that. Okay, what information? And sometimes it's a little bit difficult because I don't know exactly what information that you have or should I reach out to. So I'm just trying to figure out, and over time, it's
Yeah.
getting better.
Let us worry about that.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much.
Don't even try to put the information in a box. Say, I need information that does this. And and Amy and I will figure it out. If we have it, we will. If we don't, we'll tell you. And maybe that's something we need to go get. And that may become a focus on itself. Because right now, I mean, clearly the Energy Committee's charter is to reduce our overall energy footprint, go get grants, those are things. We're going to continue doing that. We've had a little bit of a rough patch delivering some of our grants lately, but I think there's a secondary purpose that we have, which is to arm the various department heads and the leadership with the information they need to make the correct decisions here. I mean, obviously, we are going to advocate for energy reduction, climate goals, and greenhouse gas reduction because that's literally our mandate, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. But if that information isn't accessible, we're never going to get there. So I'm ranting a little bit, but that's kind of where we're going at this point. We have the time right now. We can focus on things like, and another thing we should probably consider is we targeted the library, especially the HVAC system, such as it is, the room air conditioners that they have. That might be another round for Spring Green Communities to actually get serious about improving some of the energy concentration that we're using at the library. So that's kind of where we're at. So I guess for the takeaway, like for the audience who's watching this, for Peg, there's been a lot of work done by you, frankly, not by me, to put this in place, right? We have certainly a minimally viable product at this point where we can kind of display graphically what the Veritas reports were trying to tell us. It's applicable to Weston and Sampson as they go through their work to understand what the priorities are, how they should advise us where to fit in. If nothing else, sanitizing the data has made everybody's life a little bit easier. Going forward, we need to look at some of the strategic aspects that the select board needs to make. Do we keep this building? Do we not keep this building? Do we invest in this building? Do we spread the peanut butter across the whole town and hope that we cover it in a thin thing? Or do we focus on one building right off the bat to get it up to date and then we move on to the next one? Those are all strategy that we don't make, right? We advise. We're an advisory committee, so we need to arm those committees that actually make the decisions appropriately. So that's where we're going to be for a little while, I think. Because honestly, the work that we do in that place is going to make our grant applications better too, because we'll know what we're talking about and we'll have it a lot tighter.
Yeah.
All right. Peg, any questions on anything else there?
No, as I said, this is great because yeah, you look at all those reports and go, yep, I have no idea what this means. Uh, but yeah, it's going to help to frame that exact decision. Do you put all the money into a building, or do you look across and say these number of buildings all need X and I have $100? How am I going to spend it? Where is going to be the biggest bang for the buck? And yeah, do we keep the building? Do we sell the building? Do we get rid of the building? For that. So I think that this is definite information that the board is going to need, that capital planning is going to need, that FinCom is going to need. So the simpler we can make it, Amir, if you were to stand up at a town meeting and say, I need X amount of dollars for X project, what would you need to tell me? What would you need to tell me to convince me beyond the numbers in an awesome looking graph?
Mhm. Sure, I would take a look at uh, different information and then I can provide you
Cool. Thank
uh,
you.
useful.
So I just want to spend like a couple more minutes on this and then we'll wrap up and get everybody out on time. But I am very curious, Amir. You have lived with this data, putting this dashboard together. You have seen it in more detail than frankly probably Amy or I have. What is your impression of what these numbers are telling you?
Oh, so like it was like uh, generally like when I was checking this information, it was the most insightful and easiest chart was this one.
Mhm.
I was curious, no, but when we were talking previous meetings, uh, I got shocked like when you said that like maintaining cost goes for different parts, but like I wanted to see how it was interesting for me that I could see that the park can be related to the green community, energy community has no need to get the highest portion of the total maintaining cost. So that means that we need to pay attention to this part to keep our community more green, to to behave more sustainable. This is the general the interesting thing that I got from this one. And then again, after that one, the electrical facilities comes after that. Yeah. However, we have some other stuff that might not be in priority, but these are like again, these are those facilities that those part that are getting the highest portion that can influence on the application of that buildings. For instance, if a heating system be deactivated, uh, so probably that building can't be used. And so, yeah, I think the priority can be seen here also based on their cost.
Yep.
So this is my
And
so
just a
far.
caveat again for everybody here as well, anybody who may watch this in the future. We're only as good as our data. This is based off of the reports that, one vendor did. I'm not saying that it's absolute gospel or it's 100% correct, but it is the single best source of data that we as a community have right now. And it's certainly worth, we paid money for this. We have a responsibility to act on it or at least understand it. So that's kind of where we're at right now. All right. I guess I'll give before I turn it over to Amy, Rebecca, any last words, or hopefully this was a decent use of your time. I
Yeah, no, this
appreciate
is
you.
great.
Okay. Thank
This
you.
this looks great. I mean, it's always wonderful to have all this data in one spot because it's you get it from all over the place in different forms and PDFs and utility bills and this and that. So it's great to have this all in one spot.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today, too. I
Yeah,
very much
absolutely.
appreciate it. All right, Amy, anything for you?
Um, I absolutely love the dashboard and the database. And when he showed me earlier, the way that it breaks it out is going to make it easier to be able to say, oh, okay, the 1870, here's each part. I can go, oh, nope, we haven't done anything with this yet. We haven't done anything. Oh, I think we did, so I can kind of go into then the expenses and the invoices and be able to get him some of the information if there's things that have been updated.
Right.
I love it.
That's huge because we're a two-person board. You and I cannot discuss this without having everybody the opportunity to see us. So because of public meeting rules, but it's going to be crucial that you and Amir are kind of the engine of this because there's a limited amount that I can do. You and I can't work together. So
I was telling him I can also get Fred on board too for parts of it, because I know he tries. He tries.
Yeah, that's kind of the last thing I wanted before we close here. As far as an action item to go, I think Amir and Amy, you guys might want to schedule a meeting with Fred to take him through this. Amy, it makes sense for you to be the representative from this committee, just because, and because he's on board, he wants to do it. We both missed each other. I've neglected a little bit. I think we need to get some action time. And if you could set that up and get him kind of going. I know Fred pretty well. I also know that he's very organized, and I think he's going to like this too. I think he's going to like the data. I think he's going to like the simplicity of updating it from the back end on Excel. And I really want to get it into his hands because the other aspect of this is he's one of the end users. And if he's got a specific use case or a need that he has, that gives Amir time to go develop it for him.
Yep.
So the sooner we can get that done, I think the better off we are.
Yep.
So if you'd be willing to kind of spearhead that for us, that would be.
I'm going to try.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Any last words? I do want to end the meeting on time. We are currently scheduled for our next meeting, which is the first Tuesday of every month. So that would be April. What are we at? April 7th would be the first Tuesday. 5:30, we'll probably be doing virtual again. I do think at some point it would be helpful to have a face-to-face, but for at least until we're in better spring, we're going to stick with this. And plus it gives the opportunity for like Rebecca and Billy and whatnot to join without having to mess up their workday. Makes my commute easier. So we'll probably schedule, currently we have it up at 5:30 on April 7th. So we can work that in. I will, as usual, as we get closer, I'll update the agenda on any information. I'll send out reminders to anyone for the Zoom and set that all up. But we should count on it for now as the 7th at 5:30.
I do have some stuff that I'll send to you.
Okay.
And Amir. I went through all of the kilowatt hour spreadsheets that I have, and I actually did each building compared from 2018 to now.
Okay.
So just as you can see the increase, decrease versus,
Yeah.
all in one place.
The other thing we need to get into is figure out how we're going to use Mass Energy Insight. I don't want to duplicate that functionality. It's doing its job. I want to leverage it though, and I want to make sure that we're not ignoring some of those things that we can draw from there as well as our annual reports. So, Amir, thank you. Great work. I'm hoping this is giving you enough to keep you intellectually interested in our project here, and for Berlin. With that, I would go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded. We are virtual, so any oh, I didn't tell everybody that this meeting is always recorded. So just for now, in the future, everything you say, Kenny will use you guys too on YouTube. But we do have a motion here and seconded. So since this is virtual, we have to say it out loud. Motion to adjourn, Waisaki, aye.
Amy, I.